Aloha and good afternoon. Happy Wednesday. I'm Dylan Anchetta alongside Mark Carpenter in the H&N Digital Center. We begin today with some more Boulder news. For the second time in 2 weeks, another boulder has crashed into an Oahu home.
Yeah, this latest incident happened in Aiea. Casey Lund takes us to the scene.
Aloha from Pono Street in Aiea. I want to get right to this dramatic scene here and pop the camera in, if we can, to the bedroom here of this home. And you can see that massive boulder and how close it came to the bed inside this bedroom on the Mauka wall of this home. We also have Tyler Ramel with us this morning, the homeowner. You were sleeping right there with your wife. This happened around 2 a.m. And before we start talking, Tyler, I also want to kind of show where this boulder came down from. Really steep hill here back in your backyard, a retaining wall, knocked through that. Walk me through those moments early this morning when you woke up to that.
Yeah, it was around 2 o'clock. Heard this loud boom. I thought it was like a dream or something. And then my wife was the one that instantly woke up. And then when I finally collected myself, like just looking at this big boulder in front of me, I was in shock.
I mean, I want to ask you, when you see the damage that was done here and how much force that came down with, when you did gather yourself and kind of realize how fortunate you guys were, I mean, I imagine you guys hugged each other and kind of took a moment, and then what did you do?
I was trying to figure out what would be the next step. I mean, this is something that, normally no one really goes through, and like you wonder, what's the next step? What do you do? So I guess instantly I called the fire department and just kind of slowly tried to gather my thoughts and figure out what the next steps would be.
And so, we've had some wet weather, and I know that you also, when we spoke to you a little earlier, had some issues possibly with some water coming down maybe from a reservoir. Tell me a little bit about that.
So yeah, with the rains that we've been having, 2 incidents on January 13th and on the 27th. Notice a lot of water coming down this hill into our backyard. The first incident, I, hiked it up there and traced it down coming out from this gated area, which looked like it was coming from a reservoir. Tried to put the pieces together. Reached out to Board of Water to see if they could kind of guide me through it or if they would fix the problem.
And while Tyler and his wife wait for answers to try and figure out how exactly this happened and how they can keep it from happening again, he says he's also reached out to contractors to try and clean up this mess, though the most important thing, he tells me, is that nobody was hurt. Reporting in Aiea, I'm Casey Lund. For now, we'll send things back to you.
And another rockfall-related news, Kamehameha Highway near Waimea Bay is now back open. Crews shut down the road for 3 hours last night for installation of a barrier to prevent potential future rockfalls. They also spent the day surveying the hillsides for any loose boulders. DOT said immediate mitigation is completed. Another update will be sent out later today on long-term fixes in the area. Meanwhile, in Hauula, Department of Transportation crews will be going out to finish repairs on a portion of Kamehameha Highway that collapsed yesterday. A large sewage truck had one of its wheels stuck in a sinkhole. Officials said the road eroded out from underneath the shoulder. For now, that area has been filled with gravel, so the road can remain open. The DOT is planning to begin a 6-month project in the coming weeks to replace old barriers in that area. But the DOT says this is a temporary fix and that a long-term solution will require monumental planning and funding due to climate change. The Transportation Department said state and city leaders must first decide if those communities threatened by sea level rise will need to be moved or if they'll remain in place. The DOT is planning to make a survey available on its website to collect ideas. Federal prosecutors call former Punahou basketball coach Dwayne Yuen a prolific and aggressive child predator. In new court documents just filed, they say he should remain locked up and that he, quote, poses an extremely serious danger to members of the community, including those he has previously victimized. They also say he is a flight risk. Yuen is charged with possessing child pornography. He was arrested by the FBI last week in Manoa. According to the federal criminal complaint, the FBI received information last year that Yuen allegedly possessed pornographic images of one of his former players. She was 17 at the time and he was 47. Look for more details on this story on our website and our mobile app.
New video of the man accused of attacking a woman last week at the Mililani Walmart parking lot. Our crews were there when Desmond Kekahuna was leaving the sheriff's booking station. An Oahu grand jury indicted the 46-year-old yesterday for attempted murder and second-degree assault. He's accused of intentionally driving into a woman while she was pushing her baby in a stroller and then beating her and a Good Samaritan with a tire iron. Kekahuna is being held at OCCC on $1 million bail. A relative of the woman who was run down says she hopes Kekahuna gets help for his mental health. Naomi Taliulu says her brother's wife, Christelle Taliulu, was critically injured and underwent several surgeries on her legs.
I do know that she has a long road ahead of her. That I know that, the doctors have said it's going to be a while. I'm thankful for the Good Samaritan. If it wasn't for him, God knows what would have happened. She didn't deserve this. Not at all.
The family is seeking donations to cover medical expenses. We've posted a link on our website.
President Biden's second State of the Union address was a lively affair last night, and to no surprise, the reviews are split among party lines. Nicole D'Antonio has the highlights from Capitol Hill.
Mr. President! President Biden headed to Wisconsin this morning to speak with union workers and promote his economic agenda.
Unemployment rate is at 3.4%, a 50-year low.
The economy was also on his mind last night during his second State of the Union address. The president highlighted what he considers his achievements, but he received GOP heckling at levels never before seen when he suggested some Republicans had proposed cutting Medicare and Social Security.
Well, I'm glad to see you, and I tell you, I enjoy conversion.
He is simply unfit to serve as commander-in-chief.
Former Trump press secretary and newly installed Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders delivered the Republican response.
The Biden administration is doubling down on crazy.
Last night's speech was one of the rowdiest State of the Union addresses in recent history, with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy actually shushing members of his own party at least 4 times.
There is more, I would say, activity in the chamber probably than there used to be. But, I think that's probably characterizes a little bit of the change in our politics.
Vice President Kamala Harris believes the president did a good job of dealing with the many distractions.
I think the president was in command and he was focused on the American people.
There were some suggestions that President Biden used his address last night as a soft launch for a re-election bid. Vice President Harris says if that happens, she'll be running right alongside him. Nicole D'Antonio, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
We also caught up with Hawaii's congressional delegation who shared their thoughts on the president's address.
The state of our union is a lot better than before Joe Biden became president, I can tell you that, because massive infusion into all of the infrastructure needs throughout our country.
And I think it's also note where there are challenges and where there's unfinished business. And I think he laid it out honestly and straight. And so I thought it was an honest report to the American people.
The struggle is real. To be able to put food on the table, a roof over your head, feel like you've got a chance at a future. And so it's how are we going to really continue and expand on those supports that the last Congress helped to build.
Now also making headlines following the speech are the outbursts from the Republican side of the chamber during his address.
I'll give you a copy. I'll give you a copy. Well, I'm glad to see you.
Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene is standing by her actions, repeatedly yelling at the president and calling him a liar. Greene also remained seated when Biden introduced the Ukrainian ambassador to the United States, along with the family of Tyree Nichols. This morning, Greene doubled down and said she's not sorry.
Speaker McCarthy seems to think that you guys took the bait from the president last night. Did you guys take the bait from him? I didn't take any bait. You know, I'm a representative of the people, and that's exactly what I did last night. As a matter of fact, I got so many messages from people in my district and people across the country. It was like I won my election again. You know what? People are pissed off, and for the President of the United States to come into the people's house and lie like he did about the economy, the border, and then act like he's terrified of China and unwilling to talk about the fact they spied on us last night. Yeah, he got exactly what he deserved, and I am not sorry one bit. And I don't think Speaker McCarthy is upset with any of us for expressing our views and being unwilling to allow the president to lie. What am I going to do? Stand up and give golf claps? No, thank you. I don't clap for liars.
The U.S. trade deficit is now $1 trillion after rising more than 12% last year. The Commerce Department says the amount Americans spent on imported goods and services has reached $948.1 billion, its largest total on record. That's up over $100 billion since last year. The data shows that the U.S. economy is continuing its recovery from the COVID pandemic, as Americans spent large amounts on foreign machinery and industrial supplies. Trade with China still remains strong, though, despite rising tensions between the two countries. The U.S. trade deficit to China alone grew nearly $383 billion last year. That's the second highest total ever.
And so the latest pandemic numbers from the Department of Health, Hawaii reported 8 additional COVID deaths and 738 new cases in the past 7 days. The positivity rate is now at 5%, and the state's COVID figures don't include positives from at-home tests, so the real number of infections is likely higher. Ukraine's president continues to seek international support in his fight against Russia, meeting with Britain leaders for the first time since the invasion. Ian Lee has the latest.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky landed in London wearing his trademark fatigues, on a mission to bolster support for his country's war with Russia.
We want to stand by you throughout this conflict and ensure that you're victorious. Thank you so much.
Hundreds of lawmakers welcomed him to a packed Westminster Hall for a historic address.
Slava Ukraina. Mr. President, please.
President Zelensky made an impassioned plea to Parliament, urging Britain's government to give Ukraine the weapons and money they need to win the war.
We know freedom will win. We know Russia will lose.
He urged allies to send his country fighter jets, bringing a Ukrainian pilot's helmet to drive the point home.
The writing on the helmet reads, "We have freedom, give us wings to protect it."
This is President Zelensky's second trip overseas since the war began. It comes less than 2 months after he visited the United States to drum up aid. Back in December, the U.S. gave billions more in funding to Ukraine and promised to send them a Patriot missile battery to repel Russian missiles and aircraft. While in London, President Zelensky also met with King Charles, calling it a truly special moment. He thanked the British monarch for showing support for Ukraine when he was still the Prince of Wales. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
A multi-million-dollar settlement has been reached in a 2021 near-fatal police chase in Makaha, but the full city council will still have to sign off on it. Rick Daysog has the details.
The 4 passengers suffered serious injuries, including broken ribs, spine fractures, and a permanent eye injury when their car crashed into a field, flipped over a wall, and landed on its side after a high-speed police chase. Police experts say the city is liable because officers who gave chase didn't turn their blue lights on as HPD policy requires, didn't render immediate aid, and left the accident scene only to return after an ambulance arrived.
This is one of the most clear-cut cases there is of liability on the part of the officers, violating policy, violating criminal law. They never thought they were going to get caught. That's the whole thing. Basically, they're thinking like criminals. Criminals commit crimes, not thinking they're going to get caught.
The settlement was approved by the City Council's Executive Matters and Legal Affairs Committee and next goes to the full council for a vote. The settlement does not cover the driver of the car who suffered permanent brain injuries, nor does it cover the teen who was paralyzed in the crash. Those two have filed separate lawsuits which are still pending. Dayton Govea, then 15, suffered broken bones in his neck and spine. He's recovering, but will require millions of dollars in medical treatment for the rest of his life. The driver, Jonathan Perkins Sinapati, will also require millions of dollars in medical care for his brain injury.
There'll be a larger settlement involved for the more serious injury cases. That's just the way it works. They need more compensation because they have suffered more damages.
If all three lawsuits are settled, the Makaha crash could be one of the HPD's costliest high-speed police chases, rivaling the 2019 deadly Kaka'ako crash. In that case, the city paid a total of $15 million to the families of the 3 people killed and 4 pedestrians who were injured by a drunk driver who sped away from police. Rick Daysog, Hawaii News Now.
The owner of a Kalihi car dealership tells us Honolulu police have located one of the 5 vehicles stolen from his lot earlier this week. Ron Zhang of Excellent Motor Group on Dillingham Boulevard says thieves broke into his business Monday night and left the lot with a handful of cars and more than 100 keys. HPD has launched a burglary investigation. However, there is no security video from that night. No arrests have been made.
Let's give you a live look outside over LAX Airport. It is a nice 70 degrees there in California. Weather very similar to ours. Beautiful sunny day there. But here in Hawaii, the signal's going in and out there. But here in Hawaii, the big story is the winds. For more, let's check out our local weather.
We got some very powerful winds today, and that's why a wind advisory will be posted from this afternoon all the way to 6 p.m. on Friday. Look at that. The winds are already very, very gusty. But look, Waiho is dead calm, but that's just a temporary thing. Now, it's going to be lighter in Kona and Hilo, but up in the Kohala area down to South Point, they'll get those very gusty winds. And we'll have some passing showers this morning. Not a lot of rain out there, but a little damp from time to time. And whatever rain comes in over the next few days will be moving out quickly because of the wind. So flooding not going to be an issue, but power outages might. By the noontime hour today, the winds will really be stepping up, and by the end of the day, they'll be running at 20 to 30 miles an hour.
And taking a look at what's trending right now, a record-setting night in the NBA as LeBron James became the sport's all-time leading scorer. With a step-back jumper, King James passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for 38,388 career points, breaking the record Jabbar has held for nearly 40 seasons. Really a chicken skin moment as the league stopped the game to celebrate the occasion. Jabbar himself was in attendance, and James was able to savor it all with his family. James, who is in his 20th season, is also top 10 all-time in assists and steals.
Well, another cheer team from Hawaii has taken top honors on a national stage. Our sports reporter Kyle Chinen highlights Trojan Nation and the Mililani cheerleaders.
All hail the Trojans as the team in the brown and gold had a successful trip to Vegas, winning 2 national titles, one in the junior varsity division and another in the varsity stunt division. The Trojans were in Vegas for the Jams Nationals cheer competition, bringing 3 teams with them to compete against some of the best from around the country. The team taking home 2 national titles along the way.
It took a lot of work, and I think overall it took a lot of confidence. Since a lot of them, this is their first time ever doing something like this, a lot of them were scared. Like before we left, our biggest goal was to make sure that everybody left confident, and that's exactly what happened.
Making memories that will never be forgotten.
Creating that lifelong memories was the best thing, and we were just able to hit it on the stage, all our routines, and bring home that national championship.
One of the squads was the varsity stunt team, and this national title is special as it's the first time a Mililani team has been represented in this category.
But once we heard first place and they called our name, we were so happy. Joy was running through, happy tears, everybody was so happy, and we were just overall really proud of each other.
For the JV, they bring home the title with added motivation, knowing that they still have many years left in the brown and gold, meaning the sky's the limit.
It was unreal. I was just so beyond proud of all of us. We had overcome a lot this season, and it was challenging at times, but it all paid off in the end.
But in the end, the chance to represent their home state meant more to them than any award.
All the love and support that came back from home and from the other teams around us, it was very just inspiring.
Reporting from Mililani High School, Kyle Chinen, Hawaii News Now.
Yes, congratulations, Trojans. So awesome. It's time for some good news. But before we get into that, they often do very well at Jams National. And we also have to give a shout out to Radford, who won NCA. And also, Iolani cheer team took second place in their categories at NCA recently. So much talent here in Hawaii.
I was about to say, this all speaks to kind of just the caliber of cheer that we are seeing in the islands, and they represent Hawaii so well in these national competitions. Really just great to see.
I used to coach cheerleading, fun fact, and it is a very dangerous sport. Don't be fooled that it's just all pom-poms and glitter. You are carrying someone's life in your hands. And
how would you say it's evolved over the
definitely.
years?
I mean, the stunts, the tricks, everything is just up the next level. I've had injuries. I've had my tooth chipped because I got elbowed in the face, sprained ankles, so all that fun stuff. But great job to all the teams, definitely representing Hawaii and making us so proud. So going to our good news now, we love some astronomy news here on This Is Now. In addition to being the largest planet in our solar system, scientists using a Hawaii telescope have recently made a fun discovery. Get this, Mark. More moons for Jupiter. That's right. Astronomers found 12 more moons were orbiting Jupiter. That brings its grand total to 92. UH's telescope on Mauna Kea has been using this to gather more data, and this is one of the recent finds. I mean, it's incredible to see these stunning images, let alone more moons.
Yeah.
That's a real out-of-this-world discovery.
There's so much left undiscovered of our solar system, and it really is cool to see when you are able to stumble on these findings. And Jupiter, I mean, so much focus on Mars and the moon. Jupiter is like, whoa.
Also, another fun fact, in middle school, astronomy was my favorite subject. So something like that would have excited middle school Dylan.
So where do you stand on the Pluto discussion then, if that's the case?
I am heartbroken. I think Pluto should be a planet.
I still keep Pluto in the original 9 here. Okay?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I agree.
Call me old school, right? But you know, Pluto deserves its respect.
I think so too.
What's also really cool to see, a Justin Bieber sighting in the islands. So some video has surfaced over the last several days of the Biebs. He was at the Punahou Carnival over the weekend, jumping over the rock ledges at the school, and also, I mean, just taking a tour of downtown, really?
Yeah, I guess so. He definitely took some sights and sounds. He posted these images on his Instagram. Obviously, Kapi'olani Boulevard exit there. He stopped at the Hawaii Theater. We also were told he stopped at a bar in Chinatown, the Lay Stand, I believe. And this Punahou tie here, shout out to Emily Cristobal, our producer, who went to Punahou. And so she was like, oh, he was at my school. Very exciting there. But the Biebs on Oahu. I don't know if he's still here, though. So if he is, come on, Biebs, stop by the station.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, he usually takes a trip to the islands.
Yeah.
And he is a frequent visitor. Neat to see him just going out and about, huh?
Yeah, definitely. You know who else are frequent visitors to the islands? Beautiful whales. Take a look at this. This video is from Chris Mullins. I believe this was shot out at Waimea Bay recently.
A lot happening at Waimea Bay over the weekend. In addition to what we saw with the rock slides, some drone video in the area captured a humpback whale and her calf in the waters off the North Shore.
Stunning. Look at that.
The wonders of nature, the wonders of the sea. And, you know, as the humpback whales are here in the islands once again, just delivering some mesmerizing, incredible scenes.
Yeah, and of course I believe it is whale season. The best times for viewing is December 15th through April 15th. So yeah, it is whale season. Keep an eye out for that. And if you are in the water, be sure to keep your distance from whales. You also need special permits to film them, I believe, from drone shots. So be very, very careful when in the water. If you're a boater, keep your distance, follow all the rules. And if you also see any signs of entanglement or danger, contact NOAA right away. We want to take care of our marine life here in Hawaii and Hawaii waters. We're going to round out today's show with a live look out over Honolulu. This is one of our live cameras there. It is a beautiful, beautiful day here in Honolulu. Marcus,
78, sunny,
Yeah.
can't complain.
Yeah.
Even despite all the winds, we haven't been getting any, no crazy rain is in the forecast, but high winds, so make sure everything is secured and stay safe.
And just a little bit of fog out there, but not too bad. Once again, first alerts will be coming your way later this week as the winds continue to kick up. Our next newscast happening at 4 o'clock on KHNL.